Hey guys, blue, because tonight is going to be this outfit. This will be gone halfway through the night and I'll just be sitting down here, but I thought blue would look good. Yes, they are what you think they are. This is crooked. So I'm going to talk about my coming out story, which is appropriate considering I'm going out. So, easy peasy. I was dating my first boyfriend in college, and we had been sending letters back and forth, and his mom intercepted some of the letters and read them, and they were descriptive. We're going to go with the word descriptive. So his mom called my mom and told my mom she didn't want her son hanging around with me. And my mom talked to me, but how she did it was, I don't care what the answer is. Just know this is what these people are saying. I'm like, okay. So I ignored it. And it got interesting because it was like a whole summer of my boyfriend, things going on here. My boyfriend was like living in Livonia, Michigan, and I'm living in outside of Mount Pleasant. And everything was good until I went and spent the night over at a friend's house because he was going to be there. And then my mom got really weird. And so what happened after that, I moved in with my grandmother. Got a job. The job basically paid for my phone bill. This was back when you had landlines and you had to pay by the minute. It was bullshit. I'm so much happier with a cell phone. You guys don't have any idea how much easier life is with a cell phone. But yeah, it was like $100 a month in the cell phone bill because I would sit there and just talk to him. And his mom hated it. And it was interesting because I didn't go see my mom. That was like the first time I stood my ground with her. And it was a good experience for me. And it made me happy. Now, she then quickly came around. My dad was fine with everything. Weirdest thing, my dad, who was, you gotta be a butch, manly man, blah, 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 just went, oh, never mind. What makes this all the more entertaining? You ready for this? My dad's maternal, grandmother and grandfather, somewhere between these two lines, is just gay everywhere. I have never met a family with so many gay kids. It's like, it's genetic, and you can just see it. You just like, yep. And it's really neat. And as it turns out, so this goes off into a segue about my hometown. So it's a tiny little town, 272 people. Its main exports are potatoes, dairy products, and gay kids. One of my neighbors got molested by his cousin who was adopted and had been molested by adults because, adults suck. Disney taught us that. And then he, in turn, messed around with myself and his other cousin. So there's three. My next door neighbor on the other side, which is a quarter mile down the road, he's gay. Then you go into town and we had a lady that was a lesbian. One of the guys that had the sweetest ass in the entire school district, he turned out to be gay. I found him, it was really funny. I was at a Valentine's Day ball in Detroit, and it was at one of the Catholic universities. Go Catholics. Every once in a while you do things right. I'm kidding. Nobody ever does anything wrong. I'm just saying this was a really solid win for us. We're at this college, and they had this huge ballroom. And I look over, and I see this guy, and I'm like, who is that? Couldn't place him. And finally I went, and then I had to figure out his name. And then I was telling my friends, I said, that right there is, I won't say his name. He won't see this, but I won't say his name. That's so-and-so. And they all went, how do you know him? I went to school with him. He rode on my bus. He wouldn't sit next to me. And so my buddy jokingly. Stands up, says, I'll be right back. Walks over to him. He says, are you so-and-so? Yeah. You wouldn't happen to know AJ back here, would you? And he turns around, looks at me, turns beet red, puts his head down, and then comes over. And he's like, hi. And I'm like, hey, how are you? He says, this is my boyfriend. I got to meet his boyfriend. His boyfriend was really cute and nice. And I just sat there like, son of a bitch. I'd have dated that guy in a heartbeat. He was beautiful. He was quite a bit younger than me, though, so it would never have worked, especially at that age. If you're not 18, I'm not dating you. And even if you are 18, I'm probably not dating you. I have, but that really did not go well for me. So anyway, there was him, and it just, as you go out further, a little bit further, it was like an epidemic. A good epidemic, but an epidemic. And so a lot of people in this small town in the middle of Michigan all kind of sat there and looked at each other and said, okay, what are we supposed to do? We've driven out all of our kids. And so they became a lot more, I wouldn't say liberal, a lot more progressive when it came to that. And I think that's what's happened across a big swath of America. Is most people are like, but that's still my cousin, that's still my kid, that's still... And then when the Republicans go after us, they're like, wait a minute, you're not going after my kid. So even here in Indiana, which is like the most progressive state, not the most, but one of the most, they're behaving themselves. Unfortunately, they're going after trans, which still not a big fan of that whole. If you cleave off sections of your alliance, you soon become on your own. And allowing people to do the things to others that were once done to us. I used to say that gay people were out trying to molest kids. And we were doing things so we, the women would feel like we were one of them. And then, the whole rape scenarios that these people had going through their heads because they had no idea what the hell they were talking about. Or these are sick fantasies they had in their heads that they were projecting onto others. I can see that. I can see that real easy. But now they're doing it to the trans community. And yeah, bring it on. I'm not a happy camper. And of those of you who are on this bandwagon, yeah, we're not gonna be friends. I don't care. I don't even see your side. I'm not even gonna entertain the concept that you might have some valid point somewhere, because you don't. I have a nephew who's trans, and I will beat the shit out of anybody that even so much as bats an eye at him. Sorry. I'm not sorry. So my coming out was like that. I had a whole summer of like not talking to my mom, and my dad was cool. And then after that, it was pretty much nobody cared. They all kind of looked at me funny, especially. But at the same time, it was like, okay, next. What's the next thing he's going to try to do? And there was nothing next. Next was buying a house, moving down to Detroit, buying a house in the suburbs. I lived in Ferndale, fashionable Ferndale. Bought a house for $57,000 that today is worth $350,000 because of the gays. It's the gayest suburb in all of Detroit. And I was one of the initial groups that moved in. And we had a group that like hung out all the time. It was really cool. So we had that, and nobody batted an eye. This generation that I just have witnessed grow up, one of my nephews came out as gay. And he first came out as bi, and everybody went, no, you're gay. He's like, no, I'm bi. I like girls too. No. Nope. Oh, we've seen this. That poor kid. But his mom was like, Gage, oops, sorry. He's over 30, and he won't see this. It's like, you're gay. But couldn't I be? It's like, no, we've met you. Greatest guy in the world. Then I have my transgender nephew, and I have another nephew who is questioning. And, in my family, it's like, okay, there isn't even a conversation, except to say, if you need anything, let me know. And I'm on your side. That's all we gotta say. It's that easy in my family. I'm not saying that's universal. I'm just saying backwoods, nowhere, Michigan. That's how it is right now, and I'm loving it. It's been a struggle, to get here for us. But when I was a teenager, the AIDS epidemic was rampaging and just devastating the community. And I got to sit there and watch as like a 16, 17, 18-year-old, this just gutting of an entire generation or two of the people above me. And I didn't know a lot of people that it affected, but I knew a lot that got infected. We're going to use words correctly this time. But I knew a lot of people who were affected by it. And I know a lot of people still who almost all their friends are gone. And a whole generation of people who would have had insights for us are gone. So yeah. And that is unfortunately like one of the battle cries that turned into, we're going to have equal rights. You guys just let this happen to us. Now, fuck you. We're going to push this as hard as we can. And the people that pushed it as hard as they can, people hated what they did. But it worked. And it got us to where we're at. So we need to make sure we understand how we got here and don't let somebody else come and divide our community up and then try to take our power back, because that's mine. I will fight for it. So anyway, that was my coming out. And then my meandering, and I apologize. But hopefully my meandering led you to what this has become, or what this has become, sorry. English, I do speak English. And that is, my coming out, while it wasn't very dramatic, except for, having to move out for a little bit. And it was just because my mom was being weird, and she didn't hate me or anything. And we're not very religious people, so that wasn't it. But taking it from there, and then the new generation, and how much less work it is to come out, and how happy I am that that's how it is now, and how we need to make sure that we're paying attention, that the work that people before me did, and the people in my generation did, when we hand off to you and you have it easier, you need to make sure the next generation has it even easier. I love you guys. I love you, dude. Dude, you're gonna need to pick up your game. I'm getting sick of being single. Just saying, you need to do something. Love you.